Ladies and gentlemen, this is David Stockwell with DemoBlastStudios.com, along with my good friend Robyn Nelson with Wrestle Popcast. We are joined by one of the, if not the greatest manager in professional wrestling history, Mr. James E. Cornette. Mr. Cornette, welcome to the show, sir.
Why are you saying he's your good friend? A minute later, or a minute ago before he got here, you were saying what a no-good asshole he was. And now you're sucking up to him. You're saying he's such a good friend of yours. You told me that you couldn't warm up to him if you were cremated with him. That's what you told me a few minutes ago.
He owes me money, so I figure if, you're going to track bees with honey more than vinegar.
Don't try to swerve these people's mind around because he doesn't owe you money, because look at him. Nobody would ever trust him to have any money, to let him borrow it or owe it to him or anything. You're obviously lying again. Go ahead.
Speaking of wrestling, obviously Jim Cornette, one of the most polarizing characters in professional wrestling history. I think that if people only know you from the podcast, which is incredibly popular.
Wildly
yes,
popular.
Exactly. I don't think they're getting a real feeling for Jim Cornette. I've had the pleasure of meeting you several times. You're always cordial, great with the fans. Outside of that, what do you think are some misunderstandings about the true nature of James E. Cornette?
Well, I don't understand, honestly, how anybody could misconstrue my personal habits and personal, because like you said, I'm cordial, I'm polite, I'm nice, I'm friends to furry woodland creatures. I'm a very, and if you listen to my show, you would get that, because it's only if you're some low down, disgusting disciple of the Archbishop of Talentberry, or only if you support the orange asshole-faced orangutan in the White House, then you're not on my good side, because you're a danger to humanity. But otherwise than that, I'm nice to people. I'm so nice. As a matter of fact, I just want to just hug and squeeze on you guys right now. I'm so friendly and nice, except if you're a Trumper or a shit stainer. I don't use his name, so I have to use shit stain, because that describes him adequately. But at the same time, I throw up a little in my mouth when I mention his name. Actually, I throw up a lot in my mouth when I mention Trump's name, but I want to make sure everybody knows, because orange twat waffle, a cockwomble, Cheeto-faced twit, none of those adequately describe Donald Trump. The word Trump is the most profane curse word that I can possibly imagine. So that's so I'll but otherwise, unless you're on those people's side, you're good with me. Like you're not one of those people. You're dressed quite adequately. You look like you just stepped off the top of a wedding cake. And you, well, the way you dress makes him look even better. So
see that? And there, now you understand.
Yeah,
so there you go.
Yeah, he looks like an explosion in a Salvation Army drop box. Did you get a free bowl of soup with that shirt?
And a free haircut. But,
which one did they cut?
One of the most memorable moments of your career, Mr. Cornette, was, of course, the infamous.
Apparently, it's not too memorable. It'd be right on the tip of your tongue, but you're having trouble. It's kick your ass even come out that way, right?
It would be the scaffold. The Starrcade scaffold match.
That's easy for you to say.
Would you be so kind as to?
No. I don't want to relive
please,
that.
Please.
A horrible memory. You want me to relive one of the most painful nights of my life, where the Road Warriors literally took me and threw me, launched me into the air in the Omni in Atlanta, off the scaffold, down onto the mat, where I was severely injured. I crippled for life is what I was, tore the anterior cruciate ligament, screwed up all the cartilage, all the meniscus and the tendons and all that stuff. And still to this day, when it gets cold, thankfully I don't have to work for a living anymore, because I wouldn't be able to, because I'm almost handicapped here with the way that the knee is a problem. It's terrible. Several people were nearly killed.
You're so calm about the situation.
Well, I try to stay calm and level-headed.
Obviously, you ran your own promotion, Smoky Mountain Wrestling, for a number of years. A personal favorite of mine, a very close friend of mine, good friend, Bobby Blaze Smedley, was a featured performer for you. Would you be so kind as to share some words on Bobby Blaze?
Bobby is from Ashland, Kentucky, of course, and he was right in the area, but I can't even remember exactly how I was first introduced to him, but from the first time I saw him, I knew he had determination, he had drive, he was in shape, he was willing to do what it took. He trained with the Malenkos down in Florida. He had a great athletic background. And everything you gave Bobby to do, he excelled in. And every time you gave him an opportunity, he took it and he ran with it. He made the most out of it. If I'd had 15 Bobby Blazes, I'd have been better off. See who says I don't say anything nice?
See, that was very nice.
You just got to be nice to me.
So now that I've stepped off the wedding cake, I have actually
you look like you're ready to be laid out and have words spoken over you, but that's
oh, gee. Well, I do need to work on my tan. But
he's got the bionic claw hold going on.
But my torn bicep was partially due to me wanting to follow through on my own dream of pro wrestling glory, where I would like to be a pro wrestling manager.
Well, now see, he told me it was excessive masturbation. And you lied to me.
No, it is.
Oh, no, him trying to be a wrestling star is just mental masturbation.
So if I was looking to be a masturbation-free manager, any advice from one of the all-time greats?
If I were you, I would just keep doing what you're doing, because if I would make one correction just for show business and to be more television friendly and cosmetically pleasing, I'd have that head circumcised if I were you. But otherwise than that, I think you're doing fine.
I appreciate it, Jim. Robyn, any questions for our guest, Mr. James E. Cornette?
Yes, I do. So, what do you think about the NWA 70th anniversary show last weekend?
Well, see, you're not. See, it's supposed to be you talk into it and then you say instead of. So now, what do you think of the NWA 70th? And then now you answer. See, and it doesn't work that way. The NWA 70th anniversary was a great event. It was a chance for me to go back to Nashville, Tennessee. Got a lot of history there with the Jarrett family, with the Nashville Fairgrounds, the National Wrestling Alliance in general. And it was also great to see the NWA brought forth into the 21st century with two guys like Cody Rhodes and Nick Aldis fighting 2 out of 3 falls for the title. They had a great match. I enjoyed calling it with my old friend Tony Schiavone. So all in all, I know there were some technical problems on the internet broadcast. They fixed those for the replay. But live, the place was rocking. You couldn't have got another person in that building with Vaseline. And I thought it was just a great night for all concerned.
So what do you think about them bringing back the Crockett Cup?
I think that's going to be even better. You know, I'm still ticked off at the Road Warriors because we should have won in '86, and they screwed us around. It was a hometown decision is what it was. They had the referee in their back pocket, and boy, their pockets were big enough for big referees. But this time I may just have to, who knows, I may come out of retirement as a manager and field another team in the Crockett Cup just to get even with. If Animal's going to put one in, I might have to have one too. I don't know. You never know. You never know.
And speaking of, can you tell me any memorable moments of you and Teenie Jarrett?
Oh, my God. Christine Jarrett, of course, is Jerry Jarrett, the promoter's mother and Jeff Jarrett's grandmother. And she's the one who got me started in wrestling. She started selling tickets in the 1940s at a shoe store in Nashville for the matches at the old Hippodrome. And by the time she retired 45 years later, she had promoted more live events than any woman that I know in the history of wrestling, both here and internationally. She was a tremendous person, tremendous influence, and we miss her.
Did she ever give you the grip?
She never gave me the grip because I never stepped out of line with Teenie around. But I saw her, she gave that, the Kentucky State Athletic Commissioner one time, she said, she gripped and she said, "Fred Lamson, you just worry about collecting the taxes and we'll worry about promoting the wrestling." He didn't come back for 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
He was suitably chastened. Speaking of which, they're going to chase me up to my Q&A. Guys, I'd like to say it's been fun, but I'm not a liar, so thank you very little. You're welcome even less.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Jim.
you. This is Robyn Nelson from Wrestle Popcast. Good evening.